Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston Station, we're ready for the event.
WGBH News, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Hi, this is Arun.
Hi, Arun. This is Steve Bowen on the International Space Station.
Steve, we're not hearing you just yet.
All right, let me check again. I've got the mic on, and I should be good.
I'm wondering if it's something with the microphone, because we did a test.
Test 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, I can see.
No, we can't.
We can see.
And Station Houston on 2, we are getting you in Building 8, so the mic is coming down. If you could try and hold it closer to your mouth as they troubleshoot it on the ground.
Okay, I'll hold it closer to my mouth.
Thing from Mission Control. No audio through the Skype right now.
But you have in Building 8, right?
Arun, we're standing by.
All right, I'll stand by.
Thank you.
I think I just pitched this thing up again.
As soon as we hear, get audio from the Skype, you'll hear it.
Awesome.
Okay, we're feeling better.
Yeah.
We're expecting audio shortly. Why don't you say hi to Steve?
Steve, this is Arun Roth with All
Arun.
Things Considered. How do you hear me?
Arun, I have you loud and clear. How do you hear me? We were having some audio problems there.
You sound great right now, hearing you nice and clear.
Excellent, excellent.
So are we ready to commence?
Give me 1 second. I want to see if I can. I want to see if I can back out. There's a little audio coming back, Arun's voice before. There's a little bit coming back through the Skype. So I'm going to press something.
So, Bill, why don't we'll talk for a moment while we do that? Would that be helpful?
That'd be great.
Great. So, Stephen, we're just working out the sound to make sure we're going to record right. Seems like there's a delay. So what I'll do is I'll like wait for a moment when you're giving an answer. But we're so thrilled to have you with us. Well, we have about I think about an 18-minute window.
Arun, I think we're ready, so you can roll.
Okay, great. Stephen, any questions before we dive in? I'm not going to do an introduction so we can use all the time for the conversation.
That sounds fine to me. I'm ready to go whenever you are.
That's great. First, I will say, Stephen, actually say your name for me. I want to make sure I pronounce it properly.
Stephen Bowen.
Stephen Bowen, welcome to Welcome to GBH's All Things Considered.
Oh, it's good to be here.
First question I have to ask you is tell me what you're seeing right now, or if you're not at a window, what you would be seeing right now.
Right now, I think we're heading out over the Atlantic Ocean. We just passed over South America and heading up toward the African coast on a 51.6-degree inclination. So that's where you see that angle. If you watch a satellite map, we're heading up from South America to Africa.
And you're up there with your new crew. Are you? Do you feel like you're settled yet?
Oh, not yet, not yet. It's funny because my longest previous mission was about 16 days, so we've already passed that, and we're starting to get settled in, and we feel like we kind of know what we're doing, but we're not really comfortable. And some of the guys that have been here obviously a lot longer than us, say it takes about a month to 6 weeks or so before you really feel like this is somewhat normal. Conversely, it takes about that long when you get back to Earth to feel like Earth is normal.
Huh. And when you get up there with a new crew, do you have overlap with the existing crew? How does that work?
Yeah, so we got up here on with Crew 5 was still on board, and so those 4 crew members and us 4, and then 3 of the Soyuz. So we had 11 people up here, which even though station's pretty big, it is an operating lab. So the actual habitable volume in the places where people kind of live is relatively small. So it seemed crowded. So when Crew 5 left, a week or so ago, a little more than a week ago, it seemed a lot emptier. And, they were incredibly helpful during our turnover and explaining how things operate and how things work. So it was great to have overlap. We kind of shoot for that. So we get some of that turnover, and the learning curve is a lot steeper if you're able to pass on your knowledge.
I want to ask you about a bit about your background. I'm wondering that when you're looking at that mirror, sorry, I wonder that when you're looking out that window, if you see Massachusetts, have you ever think about that kid growing up in Cohasset, and did he ever dream of going to space?
Yeah, actually, I have done that, and well, when I was very young, I'm old enough to have watched as we first stepped foot on the moon. I remember watching that on a black and white TV in our house in Cohasset, and so the concept of becoming an astronaut was just sort of fantastic to me, and I never really set it out as a career goal, but again, I just kind of went along, studied as hard as I could, always took the opportunities I could to learn more. And the path I took, I ended up as an officer in the nuclear submarine corps, and I applied from there, and I was fortunate enough to get selected. So it was a dream when I was a little kid, but it wasn't something I planned on during my early adult career. But it's been a fantastic 23 years so far.
Well, like those classic Apollo astronauts that you were watching on TV, you followed the Navy route.
Yes, I did. And I kind of when I talk to students, I kind of emphasize the fact that what you do in high school, etc. If you're having difficulty in a class or something, spend a little extra time and focus on that so you can bring your grades up and learn, because the teachers are teaching us this stuff for some reason. So I kind of got that attitude fairly early on because I was not a good reader at first. And so I always used that. And by the time I got to be a senior in high school, I got to kind of choose where I wanted to go to school. And the U.S. Naval Academy seemed like a great engineering school. And so I went to the U.S. Naval Academy, followed the same thing there. I did well enough that I was able to select the submarine corps upon graduation. And then I continued to work hard. And I really, when you do that, you get to choose the opportunities you have, and it's pretty exciting. And it led me to the opportunity to apply to become an astronaut, which isn't like that because there's so many qualified people. I feel like I kind of won the lottery when I got selected.
Well, you must have done well since then because you're now commanding this mission. Is this your first mission as a commander?
Yes, my 3 previous missions were all shuttle missions, and I basically came up to the International Space Station as a construction worker, as a contractor, helping build the International Space Station. So I have the opportunity now to kind of live in this house, and it's pretty amazing.
And then tell us a bit more about your mission. Your first off, the team that you're leading. It's an international team.
Yeah, this is an amazing group. We've got 3 Russian cosmonauts on board. We brought one of them up with us on the SpaceX Dragon, and we have a United Arab Emirates astronaut as well on his first flight, and the first long-duration flight for the Emirates. And it's really exciting to have such a diverse group of people on board.
And tell us about what your goals are, what you hope to accomplish on this.
Well, it is a national laboratory, so there are several hundred experiments going on all around us, pretty much at all times. Some of them run pretty much autonomously. A lot of them require our input, our activity to help keep them going. We help maintain the space station. We ourselves are part of the experiment, so there's a lot of sampling and just maintaining the station is the other part of it. But really, what we're doing is continuing the operation of this laboratory, this incredible asset for science that's been manned, since October of 2000. So almost 23 years now, we've had people permanently living in space. So that's pretty exciting in and of itself. But the research is really the goal.
With all of that, it sounds like the work could never stop. How does your typical day go on the International Space Station?
Well, there's a couple things that are really important. They want to make sure you get enough sleep, so they do schedule a block of time for sleep. And you want to get about 8 hours if you can. That's hard on the ground. It's hard up here. You also have to work out, do a load-bearing exercise for 2 hours every day to ensure that you maintain the bone density and muscle mass. You have to find time to eat and take care of all those other issues that go along with living. So you end up with about 8 to 10 hour work day. It's scheduled over 12 hours because you can't put things right on top of each other. So it's a long day, and sometimes you do end up working weekends, which is good. You're always doing something useful and exciting. And if you get a chance to look at our schedule, you can probably have somebody send you just an image of what we do on a daily basis. You'll see we don't get a whole lot of spare time, which is why it's so important to get weekends or getting that opportunity for some downtime to recover, to continue the pace.
Your crew went up to the International Space Station on a SpaceX spacecraft. Tell me about that, like how it's been learning to use new hardware like that.
Oh, it's so different because I grew up on the space shuttle. When I got to the astronaut office, I did 3 shuttle flights, and I was flight engineer for my first flight. And we had hundreds of switches and circuit breakers and dials and knobs and displays that really required some manual intervention at different points in order to make things happen. The Dragon spacecraft is almost entirely automated. In reality, we monitored systems. Our input, our interface is not those switches and circuit breakers. It's a touch screen. So it's incredibly different, incredibly capable machine. It did its job well for us so far.
And will you use the Dragon capsule to get home, or did the outgoing crew use that?
Nope. We will use our own capsule heading home in 6 months or so, and you splash down in the ocean just similar to the way they did in the Apollo days, and that's because the weather constraints are pretty tight then. So that's one reason Crew 5 was here a few extra days with us. You got to make sure the weather's safe to come home, and that's how we'll be getting home in about 5 or 6 months.
And speaking of new hardware, Stephen, I have to imagine this is a pretty exciting time to be an astronaut with the coming plans from NASA. There are going to be additional moon missions. As someone who grew up watching those Apollo missions, uh, tell me about what it feels like.
Oh, it's been incredibly exciting, and it's been getting more and more exciting over the past, half decade or so. Once, the Artemis mission started to become more realistic, commercial crew came online, and just bringing that other set of vehicles, the commercial crew vehicles. We got SpaceX. Hopefully, we'll get Boeing up here soon. That was incredibly exciting, incredibly amazing to see. And now with Artemis and Gateway and potential missions to the moon, it's absolutely amazing. I've had friends that have been at NASA a lot longer than me, and they will tell you that this is the most exciting time they've ever had at NASA.
Is there kind of like a dissonance, or there must be a real contrast when you're docking the Dragon spacecraft at the International Space Station, which has now been manned for over 20 years now?
Oh, it's pretty amazing. I came through the hatch, and it looks familiar to when I left it 10, 12 years ago. But it's just so much busier. Having that extra crew member that the Dragon capsule provides, I think just adds that much more capability to the laboratory itself. And it's really exciting. It's an incredibly bustling place, and that's great to see.
Stephen, our time has just flown by because you can probably tell how much I'm loving talking to you about all of this. Before we have to let you go, is there anything you wanted to say to your friends and family back here on Earth in Massachusetts?
I'd like to say, hello. Really enjoying the weather up here. I know the weather down there has been tough at times this past few months. I guess it was cold and dreary yesterday. So no, it's I'm looking forward to getting home in the fall time frame after we get back to Houston, and I get some recovery. Probably going to head back up to New England, head up to see family in Boston. So it's going to be exciting, and maybe we'll have an NBA and an NHL championship to celebrate as well.
And when are you scheduled to come back? When does the mission wrap up?
Looks like the end of August, early September right now.
Well, when you're back on Earth and back in Massachusetts, would love for you to come visit us at GBH.
Oh, I think I'd enjoy that. I haven't been there in a long time.
Stephen, it's been great speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Now, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Hope to do it again soon.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes our event.
Thank you to all participants from WGBH News Station. We're now resuming operational audio communications.